Then some Pharisees came to him from Jerusalem, together with some scribes, and gathered around him. And when they saw that some of his disciples were eating with defiled, that is to say, unwashed hands, they looked down on them. The Pharisees, you see, and all of the Jews, mindful of the dictates of the elders, refuse to eat unless they wash their hands religiously. And neither do they dine when they come from the markets, unless they wash themselves first. And there are many other rules which they observe, the cleansing of cups, pots, bronze vessels, and tables. And the scribes and Pharisees questioned Jesus, "Why do your followers break with tradition, and live not by the rules of the elders? They do not wash before they eat, but eat their food with unclean hands." Jesus said, "You hypocrites, how well has Isaiah prophesied of you, seeing how it stands written, 'These people glorify me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me to no avail, teaching as doctrines what are human commandments.' You abandon God's instructions and hold instead to the laws of men." Then he said, "And how completely do you set aside the law of God that you might keep to your own teachings? And why is it that you break God's work for the sake of your tradition? For God, speaking through Moses, has said, 'Honor your father and your mother, and whosoever should curse his father or mother must die a terrible death.' But you say, if someone should say to his father or mother, 'What you would have otherwise gotten from me is korban,' that is to say, an offering given to God alone, he is not to use it to honor his father or mother. You no longer enable him to do anything for his own parents, undermining the law of God for the sake of your own, which you do yourselves impose. And you do also many other things of a like nature." And again he called them to himself and said, "All of you, listen here and understand. There is surely nothing outside of man, which by entering into him can corrupt him. What goes into a man's mouth does not defile him. It is instead the things that come from within a man that bring about his defilement. Anyone here with ears should hear." And when Jesus had moved on from there, his disciples came up to him and asked him about the parable. "Did you know that the Pharisees took offense at this?" He answered them, "Every plant that my heavenly Father has not planted will be pulled out by its roots. A grapevine has been indeed planted outside of the Father, but because it is feeble, it will be rooted up and die. Let them be. They are all blind guides. If one blind man should lead another, both will fall right into the ditch." Peter bid him, "Work this parable out for us." "Do you still not understand?" Jesus replied. "Do you not recognize that whatever enters into a man from the outside cannot defile him? Because whatever enters into his mouth does not enter into his heart, but his belly instead, and from there it passes into the commode. All foods are so purged." Then he said, "It is, to the contrary, what comes out of a man that corrupts a man. For what comes from the mouth proceeds from the heart, and these are the kinds of things that make men unclean. You see, evil thoughts, fornication, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, false witnessing, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and folly come from deep within the heart of man. All of these evils proceed from within, and these are the kinds of things that defile a man, but he is not tainted by eating with unwashed hands."